Celebrate and save at Ashley's Anniversary Sale. With Hot Buys, your choice of colors starting at just $3.99. Ashley Sleep mattresses starting at $250. Plus, receive a free adjustable base with select mattress purchases. And shop top mattress brands like Stearns & Foster, Tempur-Pedic, Purple, and Beauty Rest Black with special financing options for every budget. Only at Ashley in North Charleston and Mount Pleasant. Subject to credit approval. No minimum purchase required. Minimum monthly payment, down payment, tax, and delivery may be required. See store for details.
Hi, this is Asim. This is Sujoy.
This is Amrita.
And you're listening to Khandaan, a Bollywood podcast about the three main Khans of the Hindi film industry.
Amir,
Salman,
And Shara.
Hi, you're listening to Khandaan, a Bollywood podcast regular feed. Thank you so much for your support over the years. We now have a Patreon channel with bonus content and exclusive merch for those of you who would like to support us. Every dollar goes towards creating more and better content. Visit us at patreon.com/Khandaan podcast.
Anji, is this better?
Yes, actually.
Hi and welcome to a new episode of Khandaan podcast. My name is Asim Bernie and I'm Sujoy and Amrita. Hey Sujoy, hey Amrita.
hey people, hello.
Hello.
And we have our good friend Pulkit Kocher here with us. Hey Pulkit, it's been too long, yaar.
Hello. I know, right? मतलब the last time we did it was pandemic, I think. और मैं बुआ के घर पे बैठा था. मेरी core memory और मैं उनके अलग floor पे बैठ गया कि कोई ऊपर मत आना, ठीक है? It's a recording. You have to tell because I'm from Punjab. This was Bathinda, exactly Bathinda. I'm not kidding. My boy lives in Bathinda, so 2 hours they were like, क्या हो रहा है ऊपर? But yeah, it's been long. I'm in Mumbai now.
How is your bua? How is she since then?
Oh, she is great. उनके बेटे की शादी हो गई. So very random, but yeah, she's happy. मैंने अभी तक ये सुख अपने माँ बाप को नहीं दिया, but yeah.
all these nuggets of side quest information, right? Pulkit छत पे बैठ के podcasting कर रहा है.
This is why people tune in, you know.
Love it.
But now I'm in Mumbai. I don't need to. I just told my flatmate कि मैं कर रहा हूँ podcast, and he understood कि उसको नहीं आना 1 घंटा मिलने.
I mean, this is part of your life in Mumbai, right? You do
But
podcasting.
Mumbai, somebody somewhere is doing a podcast, right?
Yeah.
I think we just made the same joke at the same time and then we talked over each other.
Pulkit, the last time you were here, we talked about मैंने प्यार क्यों किया, right? If I remember correctly.
Yes. We sang the background music of every character. I remember that. And you did an impression of Kamal Khan.
I will not be doing
That's one
I
for
will
the
not be
ages.
doing any impressions today of Amar Jodh or Amar Singh Chamkila.
That's why Pulkit is here. He's here to do the impressions, right? On this episode, we are talking about Chamkila, the new movie by Imtiaz Ali that's dropped on Netflix. And afterwards, we're going to be doing... but Pulkit probably won't be joining her for that because he's a smart person who did not watch that movie. And Amrita is also a smart person. Only me and Sujoy get roped into this every time.
We think that the world is going to change, and then Akshay disappoints us all over again.
We'll talk about it when we talk about it. Let's get into Chamkila first, though. Pulkit, man, you've been working with this with the movie, right? With the release of the movie, why I wanted you on the podcast is because this is also shot in your neighborhood, right? Where you live, where you kind of grew up. So I wanted to ask you, because I never heard of Chamkila ever before this movie, the promotional campaign started. So I wanted to see, who is Chamkila? What does he mean for you in your, in your region, in your neighborhood? Who is Chamkila?
So I'll be honest, बचपन में ना चमकीला के जो गाने थे उसके बहुत वर्जन्स हमने सुने हैं. So he set the template for Punjabi songs. So for someone who's not Punjabi or even for who's Punjabi, they would listen to a lot of songs 10 years apart and be like, ये तो सुना हुआ लग रहा है. That's why a lot of Punjabi songs are instant hits. But a lot of songs na, Chamkila was the one who set the template for it. all Tumbi based songs, and it's not like उसके पहले लोग नहीं करते थे, but he's the one who set template. जैसे I made a reel where I pointed out some 5 songs only in the last 20 years. with दिलजीत का एक गाना है 2014 का which is based on his song. So he बचपन में हमने चमकीला का नाम सुना है, बट हमें सिर्फ इतनी बात पता थी कि वो बहुत अश्लील इंसान था. मैंने तो इस टाइप के रूमर्स सुने थे कि he danced naked on stage also. I had heard, but then I realized कि it's exaggeration, but he sang vulgar songs and that's why nobody talks about him. But there's a song called Pehle Lalkare Naal Main Dar Gayi, which is going viral on Instagram right now, like the वो टेढ़ा वाला एरो है उस पे जो viral audio. And I'm like, oh fuck, this is something I've heard growing up so much. I didn't know it's Chamkila. And last year, because I'm from Punjab, I was approached to do help in the marketing of Chamkila because I have insights. Like, matlab, I can tell this later also, but there's a story about my dad attending a Chamkila akhada. So I can tell it right now.
I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to hear about it.
So my dad was 17. This is 1988. The same year Chamkila passed away. Like he was killed. My dad. So we are from Jetto, which is Bathinda se 30 kilometers दूर. Bathinda you all know because of Imtiaz again. But Jetto से Bathinda में there are 2 गांव. उनमें से एक गांव is so small कि all the houses are on the road. Literally from where the bus passes. So पापा बोलते हैं हम जा रहे थे 5 किलोमीटर away from our house. वहाँ पे बस रुकी. And bus stand pe he was doing an akhada. So there were no concerts as you might see in the film. There are akhadas, open spaces. I still don't know how who pays, but he was singing on a bus stand and he was doing this as a, like he was doing a hand action which Diljit has really like he has grasped it really well because मेरे पापा ने मुझे बताया इश्क मिठाई की वीडियो देख के. He's like, I just saw the video and it reminded me of when I saw Chamkila. I'm like, wait, you saw Chamkila? Like, where? So, it's like days before he passed. Because, so my dad was like, हमारी बस वहाँ रुक गई, 20 मिनट तक रुकी रही and no passenger complained. Because everybody started listening to Chamkila. So 20 minutes later, the bus went to Bathinda again. But yeah, my dad was like, that was his aura कि सब लोग रुक गए. Like जैसे आजकल obviously लोगों के पास time भी कम है to stop anywhere to see something around them. They're always in their phone anyway. But मतलब that was the aura of Chamkila कि on a bus stand he was entertaining people by just singing alone, standing there.
So is there then also this factor of approachability कि ये अपना बंदा है, like he was literally like singing in bus stands in these villages and there's such proximity to it. Is there like was there more like was there a lot of hope for this movie, like because they made Jodi, right? And it was kind of, I don't know if you saw Jodi, but apparently it was like similar themes but would change names, right?
So Chamkila's family never gave rights of his life to anyone but Imtiaz Ali. So that's the reason Jodi was inspired, but it was like a lot of people knew it's based on Chamkila, but it's not the exact story. Also, Imtiaz brought some great insights जो नहीं थी Jodi में. This is what Diljit tells in interviews. He thought he was the person who knew the most about Chamkila until he met Imtiaz. So
interesting.
There are little details. जैसे जो मेरा town है Jetto, it's the biggest place which it's the biggest provider for mics all over Punjab, mics and sound systems. There's one person called Tari Jetto wala. His son does the same business now. So when I was watching the movie, I saw mic पे पंजाबी में लिखा हुआ Jetto वाले. I was so happy to just see name of my hometown in an Imtiaz Ali film on a mic. And most of the movie is their stage performances. And most of the mics are Jetto wale. So I was like, why is my hometown's name on a mic? So I realized it's Jetto mein Tari wala. My dad even went and met, my dad is damn fascinated jab se movie aayi hai. He went and met that mic wale ki family. They told stories ki the day he died, the next day was supposed to perform at their place for a wedding. So it obviously, so there are great stories that I got to know after this movie. Matlab, nobody was intrigued from our generation to know more about Chamkila, but we all had heard the sound of Chamkila for sure.
So he's not from your He's not from your town, but he's like from
No.
that general area.
So Punjab is like 5 regions. Our region is Malwa. So Malwa में Bathinda भी आता है और Jaito भी आता है. Where we are. So he's not from our region, but every time he performed in our region, he would stay in Jaito. From
I
where
see.
I am, in there, like the mic वाले के घर पे. To the fact that there's a song जिसमें he has given a shout out to that mic वाला. Like there are lyrics. Tari Jaito वाला, he sings this. And मतलब you know how आजकल all these rappers say कि Purple है स्टूडियो में हमने गाना रिकॉर्ड याद है मैंने तेरे को तब सुना था जब कोई नहीं सुनता था. Like they are doing shout out to other singers. So that's what Chamkila did. Like he gave a shout out to a sound system.
Love it. Love the detail.
Yeah,
Amrita, had
I
you
love
ever heard of Chamkila?
No. This is a very Punjabi story, right? Like Chamkila's life, the way that he sang, even the songs, like, you know, of course in the movie the music is by Rahman and the lyrics are by Ishad Kamil, but they're very much based on, from what I understand, and Pulkit can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's very much based on like the kind of songs that Chamkila wrote. And like Pulkit says, you know, like he basically wrote these templates for what Punjabi songs, like folk songs, became. So this is like I had no cultural knowledge of, like, for example, the akhadas, you know, like I had no idea that that was how they used to have stage performances in Punjab. But the stories, like, you know, the way that the things that he was singing about, the way it was received, the spaces in which those songs entered, and also the way that he, you know, like there's a lot of like caste based stuff in the film, for example, you know, where they talk about like what it means for him to be a chamar. I didn't have that context before I saw the movie, for example, right? Same. Like I had no idea. And then you know, the way that he died, and the fact that, you know, they thought that it might be militants, but then also like and this we're going to have this pretty spoilery, so for people who are listening right now, if you haven't watched it and you think you might be watching it, this is a good time for you to go away, because I'm gonna get really spoilery. But you know, the point in the movie where we find out that he was actually married before, and Diljit does it like in such a fantastic way. Like I was just like, what? Where does that even come from? You know, like that just absolutely blew my mind. Like it's just little things. It's the storytelling, but also the story itself. I think like if I didn't, like, you know, like Pulkit had his dad, and I absolutely understand why his dad is obsessed with the movie, because if this movie came out about something that I grew up around and that I basically watched at a very seminal point in my life, even I would be completely obsessed with it. But this is like, this is a very Punjabi story, so it's not something that I grew up around or I was familiar with.
Sujoy, did Chamkila's voice reach you?
No, unfortunately. Like, I grew up in the northeast part of India, and the only sort of exposure to Punjabi culture or anything to do with Punjab in the early days, in the 80s at least, was through Doordarshan, and the only voice that came through was Gurdas Mann and Dil Da Mamla Hai. You know, that was the big Punjabi hit, and probably the only hit until Bolo Tarara came with Daler Mehndi in the 90s. You know, that was the long gap. Or the bits of Punjabi dance or music that you saw in Mile Sur Mera Tumhara, or whatever national integration showreel that Doordarshan was making back in the day. So Gurdas Mann was the beginning point of anything to do with Punjabi culture for me. So I think Chamkila came before Gurdas Mann, and Gurdas Mann debuted in 88-ish with Dil Da Mamla Hai, and that was his big shot to, like, you know, stardom and stuff. And probably, would you say, Pulkit, Gurdas Mann is a bigger star in Punjab?
So I think the thing is, Chamkila was niche, but he was hugely popular in that niche itself. Like Punjabi regions, like Gurdas Mann
Yeah.
was big in cities and villages, but I think Chamkila was heard by way more people, even in the limited resources they have, like cassettes. Like they mention it in the trailer slates. Also, he was
Yeah.
the artist who sold the most
Uh,
the
Vinyls. Yeah.
CDs in 80s, and they were blacked, like how Amitabh Bachchan
Yeah.
movies used to be blacked in the 80s or 70s. Matlab, that's the example they give in the movie also. Constant comparison, actually. He was a fan of Amitabh Bachchan also, this show. But the thing is, Gurdas Mann became big in 90s.
Yeah.
By the time Chamkila had passed away. So, because I am to born in 95, so I don't have exact measures to see who was a bigger hit. But I think Gurdas Mann was more publicly
Yeah. He's
accepted because
very
he didn't
Doordarshan
sing
friendly also,
vulgar,
right? So
Doordarshan friendly also, and also like discussion friendly. Like you would
uh,
accept that you
yeah.
hear his songs in public. But Chamkila songs is I'm like not a very valid comparison. But when I was in my teens,
Yeah.
Honey Singh's songs were like the best for us. Like kya
It's
lyrics, aisa,
the
it's
pre
a
T
whatever
series
that.
Kahani
Like I
Singh. You
remember,
know the. Uh-huh.
this is Speed Records wala Honey Singh. That was a label in Punjab. एंड सो फॉर अस फॉर एग्जांपल जब अंग्रेजी बीट आया रिमेंबर मैंने
हाँ.
स्कूल की बस में सुना वो पहली बार एंड वी वर द होल बस वाज लाइक लेट्स रिपीट इट बट नाउ दैट आई लिसन टू दोज लिरिक्स दोज रैप दे आर ऑब्जेक्टिफाइंग women and you know all of that but if someone plays it in a party I would still dance on it knowing it's a problematic lyrics because I'm like oh okay but there's so much nostalgia now like it can't it's like लाल दुपट्टे वाली तेरा नाम तो बता like
what Chamkila's music and the lyrics on screen when this movie plays, right? The double entendres,
Yeah.
it sort of reminded me of like Chhat Pe Soya Tha Behnoi, the Karan Arjun song. It's that
Yeah,
level
yeah,
of
yeah.
naughtiness and
And-
raunchiness that's trying to do away with lyricism, but the underlying meaning is very naughty.
For sure. I mean, yeah, I think जब तो आपका जो मेन सवाल था गुरदास मान वाला, I think Gurdas Mann just started when Chamkila passed away in late 80s. So it's very hard to do a comparison, but I think Chamkila was a bigger hit in whatever area he was listened, but Gurdas Mann was thoda pan India.
Like sanitized, like it feels like Chamkila laid the groundwork and then Gurdas Mann really like sanitized it and then become popular.
He sang about Punjabi culture,
Yeah.
like apna Punjab hove, kar di sharab hove, like all that. And Chamkila sang about the fantasies of people living in those small towns and villages. So those fantasies are very hidden. So that's why people won't listen to Chamkila openly. So you would never know by word of mouth if he's big or not, but you would know by records, like how like big he was
Yeah.
in the sales of those CDs.
Right.
Till now,
And
I
I think
mean-
they kind of do that a little bit in the movie too, like when the cop is saying, like of course I don't listen to his lyrics, and then when he opens the trunk, the cassettes are there,
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is the police wala who's listening to this story, the whole movie. It's a flashback, right? The whole movie is dissing Chamkila कि ऐसे गाने मैं नहीं सुनता, मैं थानेदार हूँ ऐसा. After the funeral, they show him कि भाई उसकी कार में चमकीला की कैसेट पड़ी
Yeah.
है. So he's sad too as a fan. So yeah, I think that's the gist of it. कि people were not accepting it in public.
But
That's what.
Let's get into the movie a little bit then, specifically. Let's start with you, Sujoy, because I want to come back to Pulkit then, because I think he'll have the most complete answer. What did you think of Chamkila, and how does it rank in your Imtiaz Ali kind of ranking? Because I think some of us were worried that we kind of lost Imtiaz as a filmmaker, especially with the last few he did. Do you think he's come back?
I mean, considering his last movie was what?
Love Aajkal
Harry
2,
Met Sejal?
and then he had Harry
Love
Met
Aajkal.
Sejal.
When Harry, no. Oh, did that come? Oh yeah, that came out after.
Let
Harry
me
Met
just check.
Sejal.
So Love
Getting
Aajkal 2 was before this, and then Harry Met Sejal, and then before that was Tamasha, which people consider to
Tamasha.
be like probably the last big Imtiaz Ali movie, right? I like in retrospect, I really liked Tamasha, but I the more time I've spent after the movie, I don't necessarily gravitate towards the themes that it was trying to say. But anyway, coming back to Chamkila, I think it's refreshing to see Imtiaz Ali do things with this movie where he's so confident in his storytelling, right? The swings that he's taken in this movie are excellent. I enjoy that for him, the creativity that's on display, the flair of direction, the way of storytelling, and like he's very confident in this story, and like the actors that are involved in this movie are absolutely great. But having said that, I don't know, like I have mixed feelings about this movie. Like I thoroughly enjoyed whilst watching it, but there's so much more to this movie than just a movie. That's why I don't know if how it ranks in Imtiaz's filmography. I think like Jab We Met is still my number one, because it's such a fun movie that I go back to every single time I'm feeling low. Like even if I watch a 15-minute scene or with Geet and Aditya, or even with that Kyun Jaun Main Ganne Ke Khet, that's my favorite scene of all time, with Anshuman. But like Jab We Met, probably Rockstar is there somehow somewhere, and Highway is there. Maybe after that Chamkila, probably.
So it's kind of come up
that-
in the bottom, like high in the bottom for you.
Yeah.
Amrita, what about you?
To me, I feel like this is the movie that Imtiaz has been trying to make for a very long time. Like it feels like, like whether it's Tamasha, where you have like the artist and, the tortured artist who is trying to express himself and finds the world standing against him. Whether it's Rockstar, who's like the defiant artist who is who has adulation but feels hollow inside. Whether it is even Jab Harry Met Sever, like Harry is a Punjabi folk singer, a frustrated one, and his happy ever after is basically finding a girl who will help support him to like become that Punjabi folk singer, basically. And that's literally the story of Amar Singh Chamkila, like here's this guy who wants to sing Punjabi folk songs and is really good at it, and he sees a lot of flack for it, and then he meets this woman who like helps him achieve all his dreams, and he wants to be with her no matter what stands in their way. And then at the end, it's a tragic tale of like personal ambition and artistic freedom that is cruelly doused by a society that doesn't really respect it. So these are all like themes that I've seen a million times in like Imtiaz Ali movies, that especially over the past 10 years, I feel. And I feel like this is probably the story that he was building up to, or perhaps the story that he had in the back of his mind. Because you don't come up with this level of detail, what Pulkit was saying earlier about how Diljit thought that he knew everything about Chamkila, and then he met Imtiaz, and Imtiaz knew even more. And that's not the kind of background detail that you can come up with by sitting down and studying a subject for a year. That is something that you obsess over for years on end. That is something that you love, that you go back to over and over again. And that is like this is the kind of knowledge that only comes from a very genuine place. And Imtiaz is also being very clear. Like, he said this for a long time, because people have been asking for a long time. Like, I think all the way back to Jab We Met, like, why is there so much like Punjabiyat in your films? And he's like, I just like it. I like the people. I like the music. I like everything about it. And that's what I want to show in my films. Like, it's something that I enjoy personally. And I think this is basically, I can see that it's a passion project, and I love passion projects. Even if I don't particularly like them, I really enjoy passion projects, because God knows, like, I just want to see people who care about something. It's just a bonus for me that I really thought that Chamkila was a good movie. I thought that, I know people have been talking about like how it's too chaotic, blah, blah, blah. And I see what their point, but I enjoyed it. It was like a good time. and it was a subject that I didn't know much of before. And I feel like I learned
Pulkit,
something.
what about you? And one question I want to ask you, because this is something that I've seen a few people ask. Would you have liked this movie better if it was in Punjabi?
Not personally. Matlab, I don't have a preference like that because I am a Bollywood fan and I've grown up watching Hindi films. So it's great representation. That's what matters to me, because growing up, all the Punjabi people were only for humor in a Hindi film. Like, so that's a great, I think that's what Imtiaz has went away from. Even though Jab We Met still had some elements of "Kya wo lassi pilao," matlab Punjab. But that's also true. I mean, but it's, I'm thinking while I'm saying it that
Pulkit said lassi, and his mind went, actually, I would like some lassi.
yeah, man, you don't get good lassi in Mumbai. Yeah, you only get meathi lassi here or chai. Namkeen lassi is great shit, doston. Okay, sorry. Going back to the wow. So no, I think I didn't mind it because his singing parts were in Punjabi. So that would have been like worse, because I see so many Punjabi songs getting remade in Hindi. So many Kartik Aaryan movies. Long Lachi is a biggest Indian hit
Yeah.
on YouTube. Okay, and it has more. First Hindi songs to cross 1 billion on YouTube. Long Lachi. So T3 like, let's remake it, and the Hindi one is so bad. The lyrics, that's why I cringe as a Punjabi there. But I'm glad they didn't change the songs. Also, there are some छोटू छोटू चीजें जो दिलजीत एग्जैक्ट पंजाबी में ही बोल रहा है. They haven't translated into Hindi because they assumed कि इतनी पंजाबी तो ऑडियंस को आ ही गई है through songs or something. So there's one scene that starts with Diljit calling his friend मस्या दी मस्या ना होने वाला. It's a passing thing. What he's saying is कि तू क्या बोल रहा है, तू तो हर अमावस्या की अमावस्या नहाता है. मतलब you bath once in 15 days. Because some guy is saying कि मैं कैसा लग रहा हूँ, like कार के आगे बैठे हुए while Diljit is sitting behind. So there are little touches which are still in Punjab. Like, even if people are speaking in Hindi, their tone is still how they would speak Punjabi, because the actors are Punjabi. And they all have seen Hindi films enough to know Hindi. Like I was saying, I was tipsy yesterday, so I was gonna say, ha. So I was thinking in English, and I realized, ki, oh wow, how far I've come. Because when I was new in Mumbai, I would think in Punjabi, but still I was comfortable in Hindi growing up in Punjab, because school mein Hindi bolna is compulsory. Like English is fine wala compulsory. So I think Punjabis in their school times speak a lot of Hindi, and they grow up on Hindi films and Hindi songs. I think that's fine for me. That's not a problem that I felt, honestly.
No.
Sorry.
I'm
We
interested
went
in
a
that
lot of
perspective,
ways
because it's something
to
that I heard a
answer.
lot of people say, and they also said, also Rahman is not Punjabi, Imtiaz is not Punjabi, and it's losing some of its flavor and representation because of that. So I kind of wanted to get your, your
No, no.
perspective on it, and I agree with you about, so,
But if you listen to Rang De Basanti soundtrack, it's like I'm not even talking about the main songs, like Rang De Basanti title song. I'm talking about this Ekomkar, jiska composition is by Rahman. If you listen to it, you will think that someone in a Gurudwara is playing it, and not a music
yeah.
director who's
Yeah.
from Chennai.
Yeah.
Like, so I think he adapts really well. So, and what Amrita was saying is also, like, the songs in the album
Yeah.
are about Chamkila, and uske Chamkila ke lyrics एक गाने में है, which is Baj Baja, because it's the introduction song where people are talking to camera, talking about Chamkila. So in that conversation, they're also speaking about the lyrics he had. So they have rhymed it and made it like that. But I don't think that's a problem at all. I mean, Rahman, to I would say, understands the culture really well. Like, as a Punjabi, I can assure you.
I mean, Rahman went to the 1800s and composed music for Lagan.
So what did you
Oh,
think
yeah.
of the movie?
So yeah, I really liked
Yeah.
it. Matlab, I to cried at Menu Vida Karo. When Diljit is looking into the camera and the lyrics are "Mera aur rehne ka man tha yahan pe." So that's the heartbreaking lyrics by Irshad and
Yeah.
Arijit. They kept Arijit for the last. Like, I love that. But I really liked it. I might be
Yeah.
biased because I watched it in December for the marketing, but it was a rough cut. And I really liked it. And I'm like, am I liking this because I'm attached to this? Or is it? So I would wait. I'm like, let's wait for. So I didn't tell anyone how I liked it or something. Also, NDA, I couldn't tell a lot. So about the movie, I couldn't talk at that point. So I though really liked it. I think maybe second half mein there are some points where I would find things repetitive, but like singing shots or something. But I think when I watched it the second time, I really liked that too.
Hmm.
Like the Bol Mohabbat Sinela, that portion of the movie where he's shown to be a fearless man. I think it was important for the arc to show that part of him, ki oh, he's nearing his end and stuff. So because we all know, like Amrita was saying, we are giving spoilers, but then we're like everybody
It's a
knows
biography,
he
right?
dies. Like there's no spoiler. But the wife thing again, I think it was handled pretty well. Diljit's charm helps a lot in the whole
Hmm.
movie, I think, because we might not have seen Chamkila, but we have seen Diljit performing on stage, and he's a charming person to be on stage. So he makes the repetitive stage performances not
Hmm.
boring. Matlab, he makes it
Right.
interesting. So I think that's what helped also. I really like the music, the lyrics. I love it more than the music. I would say, like the lyrics of how they describe Chamkila or what he's thinking. Yeah, there's nothing I really
Hmm.
didn't like. Matlab, at this point, I would be just pointing out like the main. I would say main criticism I've heard from people is ki they didn't talk much about his caste. Though when I saw it, I was surprised to see even a conversation about caste in an Imtiaz Ali film, which is mostly about the Sufiness of the characters, like their interpersonal relationships. So I was surprised to see that it's a thing they have
Hmm.
discussed also. But a lot of people say ki one theory is he was killed because of his
Hmm.
caste also. A lot of people say that, like, because it's never clear ki why he was killed or who killed him. So there are theories ki Pariniti, sorry, the Amarjot is from a different caste. So when they got married, that only then he started
Hmm.
getting the threats. Because like they show in the movie, a lot of other singers also sing vulgar songs. But another argument against it is कि उनके गाने but इतने popular भी नहीं थे जितने चमकीला के थे. So there was no reason for people to get angry if someone is not popular only. Like अगर मेरे 1000 फॉलोअर है और मैं कुछ कैंसिल होने वाली बात कर भी रहा हूँ तो
Hmm.
पहुंचेगी नहीं लोगों तक. So I think वही है कि I thought I liked it. The only I think people didn't like the animation part also, from what I
Oh,
read
I
from.
like that. I like that a lot. Actually, that part I
I
really
like that
liked.
too. I like matlab, maybe some parts I think they could have like made it less. But I think why people thought it was too much because it's all in second half. First half में बहुत कम है animation.
Hmm.
So when it comes together. Like जब वो डिस्क चलती है गांव गांव जाके I really like it, like the UFO effect of it. I too love the depiction of it, like in less words, in less scenes, how do you show that his cassette is going around in villages in black. So I like the animation part also. Yeah, overall I think.
It's also like depicting a
Hmm.
larger than life version of Chamkila, right? It's the myth and the legend of Chamkila being depicted through these hearsay stories, and that's why the story or the narration feels a bit chaotic because it's spoken word from all these people who have lived with Chamkila and their versions of what they understood the legend of Chamkila was, and that's why you don't get to see aspects of Chamkila's life, right? It's such a large life that he lived within those 27, 28 years of his life, but it's condensed to that story of 2.5 hours through the stories that we hear from these people who lived their lives alongside the legend.
It's
And
all
that's why you
versions of
get
it.
these,
Yeah, you're right. Imtiaz has interviewed a
yeah.
lot of people, and he said that a lot of people would lie just so that their part of story stays in the film. So he would interview them after a week to check if they still say the same thing. He's like mental notes. He made mental notes, and मैं पढ़ रहा था. There's one character called Takkan. So his surname is Takkan. Okay, and he's in the movie very very slight, you would say. For example, जब उसकी बुकिंग शुरू होती है तो ढक्कन उसको बताता है जाके कि अरे तेरे लिए कॉल आ रहा है वो दुकान पे. That's the guy Dhakkan. You won't see him enough in the film. But when I was seeing the credits, he said special thanks to Takkan. So Takkan is the guy who was there to witness all of it. His downfall, his fight with Tikki, and all of it. So I think it's one of their versions. For example, the Tikki character said in real life, said this to Imtiaz कि मेरी बद्दुआ लग गई. Because you see that scene in the film, he said मर जा चमकीले when he doesn't take him to Canada. So he actually says कि मेरी बद्दुआ लग गई क्योंकि मैंने उसको मर्जा बोला था गुस्से में. And so these are the things he kept in the movie because that character still is in regret. And another person said कि चमकीला मरा हुआ इंसान बन चुका था when he smokes that BD in front of the religious people. After that, he is walking to his hotel room in full swag. So that scene, the one person is just staring at him. So that person actually stopped working with him in that point because he was scared for his life. So he told Imtiaz कि in exact these words कि चमकीला तब एक मरा हुआ इंसान बन गया था, उसको किसी चीज़ का डर नहीं था. So I love these versions and love how Imtiaz ने ये मूवी बनानी शुरू की. Like it's his theory only ना, what you seek is seeking you. Rumi quote, he put it in the Harry Met Sejal poster also. I think that's what, once he started making a movie on Chamkila, people came to him. Like people went with their wedding cassettes जिसमें चमकीला ने perform किया है. And those are the footages he watched for study eventually, because उस टाइम पे इतना रिकॉर्ड नहीं होता था until it's for a personal function. So yeah, those are, I think, great things Imtiaz has researched. But I would quickly give my ranking. Sorry, I spoke a lot. And I would quickly give my ranking. For me, Rockstar is his best, and second is Jab We Met. Tamasha was the third for me, very personal reasons, because I was just coming out of college thinking what to do. So it was Three Idiots motivation for me. कि ओके मैं वही करूँगा जो मेरा मन है, मैं फंसूंगा की तरह. I saw it twice in theater. I remember it was a flop because it was so jarring, the whole non-linear thing. But third was for me. Now I think Chamkila is third for me. It's way more mature than than Tamasha. It says things very like in a better way, in a clearer way than Tamasha, I would say. That's why I think Tamasha अब जाके cult बनी है. It has gone through a journey. पहले it was underrated, then now it's overrated because so many people have. But I'm glad Chamkila at least is being discussed when it released and not 5 years later.
Nice. This is, for me, this isn't like a monster situation. I appreciate it. I see the art in it. I think a lot of the points that Amrita was also saying, I can really see the passion. I see the growth in filmmaking. Performances, man, like Diljit and even Parineeti. I'm so happy for Parineeti. We haven't talked about her too much, but I'm so happy. I don't think it's necessarily an amazing performance because I feel the character is underwritten, to be honest. I don't feel they give Amarjot enough. And what the Jodi perspective says is it's a Jodi. I don't feel in this is the only Chamkila movie, and the character Amarjot does not have much to do, but I was craving some love from the audience, and seeing the reactions on reels and her being appreciated. I thought we'd lost kind of. So yeah, I was saying that I was worried that we'd lost this amazing talent. She's back. What I do find a problem with Imtiaz's movie, and I think all of us are mentioning Tamasha, and I think Tamasha is kind of the connection with this movie he's trying to say with Chamkila. He's raising up Tamasha. I don't know what I should take out of it at the end of the movie. I'm also listening, because I don't understand Punjabi, this type of Punjabi, and I think a lot of, even people that understand a little bit of Punjabi would already understand all the nuances of the language spoken here. So I had to kind of go back what's going on. I watched this amazing video essay by Pakistani essayist Sabahat, and she was also saying, the Chamkila character has been sanitized. Like a lyrics that literally almost about assault, about rape, and all of this has been kind of cleaned up to make a Diljit friendly version of Chamkila. And that kind of, because I felt something was missing, like some namak was missing in the stew. And that kind of like connected a few things for me. That I think because you're talking about such generality, like, like, oh, somebody, and, this thing was happening in Punjab, and like, it's never really, dug into. I feel the movie lacks a bit of punch and just misses a bit of clarity for me. I think that's the problem I also have with Tamasha, and I have the same thing with Chamkila. I do appreciate art. I appreciate what they're making. And I think also just because it's a biography, I feel a lot of time biography is not a genre of movie making that I enjoy unless you really like the actor or you really like the subject. Here, the subject I didn't know. So it wasn't even, I felt the movie didn't even give me a full picture of who this person was. But I really like Diljit. I really think he's great in it. And I appreciate the filmmaking. I love the music.
Okay, so I have a bit of a pushback to what you're saying, Asim. Unless you have like other thoughts you want to share.
No.
Okay, good, because I can't hear you again. So I think what you were saying that, like, I share your your ambivalence towards biographies. Like, it's not my favorite genre of movies, and I think one of the reasons why I have a problem with biographies is because it's such static filmmaking. There's this person, and we are just going to, and it's very linear. It's like, like this person was born, this person did stuff, this person died. Hooray! That's the movie. And I think why I liked Chamkila so much is what Sucharita calls the chaotic nature of this movie, right? Like, there's just so much stuff happening. The way the narrative, straight up lies to you as the viewer, whether it's about like his previous marriage or the fact that the Thanedar is his big fan, like all those things, like it's lying to you, it's misdirecting you. It builds up tension in like places that are very unexpected, like when the brother finds the door closed and Chamkila and Amarjot are inside the room and he can't hear anything, and you absolutely are waiting for it to become a thing, and then it absolutely does not become a thing, and you're just like, okay, so this is a very interesting narrative strategy that Imtiaz is following here. It's just, one of the reasons why I really enjoy this film, I think, is because I can just feel Imtiaz having fun as he's building the story. He's experimenting with things. He's throwing things at the screen that maybe he wouldn't have if this was a regular cinematic or theatrical release. And I enjoy that, like it's a very infectious energy to this film that I particularly enjoyed, I think, which is not the case for Tamasha. No offense to the people who loved it, including Pulkit, but like Tamasha for me is just, it's not just that. I mean, it's just so, I don't know, like it's just so pretentious to me somehow. There's just like, there's this man and he's like tortured by his art to a point of insanity, and then this woman that like comes and like falls in love with him, and she like would do anything for him. Like it's a very like, I don't know, it's a very male kind of approach to life and to what it means to be an artist that I find very off-putting, which is not the same with Chamkila. I will say though, like about the politics of like what he is actually singing. Maybe it was just me because I had the subtitles going. As we have discussed before, I am a huge fan of subtitles. I like subtitles on everything, including things that I already understand. I'll watch English things with subtitles on because I like them. So for me, like it was very clear that the songs were definitely off color in a very specific way. And I need to spend more time, I think, reading what other people who are smarter and more well versed in these songs have to say about it. But I think the movie also makes a case for it being a way for women to express the darker side of their sexuality, as we saw in the song Narm Kalja, which you and I have spoken about before, right, Asim? So I don't know.
I think I want to talk like 20 minutes more about Naram Kalja later on, but yes, we did speak about it earlier.
Yeah. So I mean, like, it's just a very interesting. Like, I was definitely repulsed by a lot of the topics that the songs were focused on. I'll be honest, but also you're right. Like, it's Diljit's charm and his star quality that makes you jump that bridge. And I feel from like watching the archival footage or the photographs that we have of the actual Chamkila, I feel like that's the man who had exactly that kind of charm and that kind of star power. Because you can see it in the photos with him and Amarjot.
But I just to kind of like come back to that point, because we're talking a bit about Naram Kalja, I think that's kind of the problem I'm having in a way. The approach to it is that the way sexuality is talked about is like, kind of like, oh, fun. But you're taking away all of the power dynamics out of it, right? Like you're talking about Maadi Talashi Leni hai. We're talking about being assaulted by the Devar. Um, these are really, really dark things to think about it, right? And I what I'm hearing is, and again, that video I sent to you guys that you didn't watch, but the themes were even 100 times worse. There were like lots of things about like, I'm knocking on your door and I'm gonna barge in and things like that. And Pulkit, I mean, please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just getting this via. I think all of that gets sanitized into like, like just, oh, we're just having fun and sex is fun. And I just feel that disconnect in the movie making, because this is, Punjab back in that time, right? Like in the 80s and stuff like that. And it seems to be a base sensitivity. And I just feel that there's a... Pulkit, I want to ask you about that, specifically about those lyrics, because you grew up on them.
Sorry, Asim, I think you were breaking for me. Was he breaking for everyone? Nahi to
Yes. Yes.
So I think it's very complex because, like you said, they were assaulted, but it's not assault. They are consenting adults. It's just that infidelity was not a topic in Punjabi songs, even though it was happening very casually in front of a kid who was Chamkila. Right? That's why they show him growing up. That's how they show him growing up. When he sees a couple fighting and says khada ho gaya, it's offensive. But when the same lyrics are sung in a manner which is ladies sangeet in Punjab, it's acceptable. So he saw that these topics are not acceptable to talk about, but when someone sings a song about them, it's people accept it very easily. So
Yeah.
I think that's where Chamkila came from. He just spoke about what he saw, what was normalized, and he sang about it. And the power dynamics in sexuality, about the songs or between them.
I don't know if you can hear me. I'm basically kind of speaking from the female perspective, like this idea that women consented to. I just find it a bit hard to understand, But maybe this is me. Maybe I am that journalist, woke journalist. Like,
So even though they've translated it, a lot of things are lost in translation, right? So there are some things which are very problematic, but still sang like they're the best thing. For example, there's a song about मैं शिखर दोपहरे नौंदी सी ओ तकदा रहा कि मैं नहा रही थी और वो मुझे छत से देख रहा था. And Chamkila as a kid saw someone doing that,
Right.
but it's still not with her consent. Matlab, when she's bathing and someone is watching. But in the song, the woman is singing it like she's enjoying it. So even though women listening to Chamkila's songs never had a problem with it, because I think they never cared about how this song would affect people. I think they just heard क्या बोलते हैं banger music and they were like, oh, these are
Banger
lyrics
music.
which are like
Yeah.
and they were like the same with Honey Singh. No, they're like, अब आप पंजाबी गाने सुनते हो हनी सिंह के, so unless I tell you what that means, you would never know or care what they mean. But once you know, you will be like, oh, what this is what I was dancing on for last 10 years. So it's the same. I think the only problem Imtiaz pointed out in the film was कि the women have
Yeah.
no problem with it, but the society is saying कि women have a problem with it. But they themselves are enjoying it. Because even though it was a male dominated society, ki in the Akhada there were men listening to Chamkila, but every house near that Akhada had women lined up to listen to Chamkila. So I think even though there were a lot of people offended by him, but they would still listen to it for the banger music. So I think Chamkila balanced it, and Imtiaz I think just wanted to point that hypocrisy out. Ki same people are doing this. It was a lot of like things were problematic, but yeah, I don't think Chamkila knew that's what problematic is.
Chamkila wasn't woke enough
He
to
wasn't woke enough
understand.
to, yeah, I think so. For example, there's one song where Chamkila, which is not in the movie, I think uska lal, so lal pari piti lal pari mein chak chak comes in baja, right, this line.
Uh-huh.
So what the original song is, जीने लाल परी ना पीती रन कुट के सिद्धि ना कीती. The song is about जिसने दारू नहीं पी और अपनी वाइफ को नहीं मारा वो मर्द ही नहीं है. So this is a highly problematic song of the
Yeah.
Chamkila is like, you want problematic? I got problematic.
Yeah, but why? But when I see Chamkila's life, he was not someone who believes in this. So he sang it for the audience,
Yeah.
still normalizing it with his songs. So I can't say it's not problematic. The song is completely problematic, but again, people were lapping it up like it's not. So it's very complex to explain if
Yeah.
how much onus was on Chamkila. That's what the movie. That's what Imtiaz is trying to say. Ki the whole onus why he got killed was not only on Chamkila but also the audience that supported his music. Because at one point he stopped singing it for whatever reasons, but he stopped. But people wanted him to sing those songs. So
And also, like, there is that power dynamic imposed on him as well, right? That he belongs to this lower caste, so he's even at the height of his, fame and stardom, he's still that people pleaser that will
yeah,
never leave
yeah,
him. So that's there.
yeah,
I would also add to this that the whole sanitizing part of why this story it does portray Chamkila not completely in like shades of like unicorns and rainbows, but there's obviously some darker shades to his character, but obviously it's not showing or bearing it out all. It's, I think, to give the benefit of the doubt, it's all there in the filmmaking, that the
yeah.
narrators of those flashback stories are all men. There is not a single woman who has spoken anything about what it meant for them to hear Chamkila, other than that whole Naram
Baja,
Kalja section,
Baja section.
where we hear the women or even the older woman talking that these are similar
But
to
I think
songs
that's
that
why
we
he
hear in
put
cinema.
Naram Kalja, because that is just women
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah,
different
exactly.
parts of Punjab, in hostel and all. And there's a little conversation just before that song also. कि she says कुछ चीजें छुप के की जाती हैं. That दादी says
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
कि मैं सुनती हूँ बट तुमको तो कैसे पता होगा, कुछ चीजें छुप के ही की जाती हैं. So I think but you're right. Also the male perspective versus female perspective in Imtiaz Ali movies, like Amrita was saying, Tamasha was from a very male solving problem. How it should be solved, like. But again वही है कि मैं जब देख रहा था, I remember तमाशा, I didn't know power dynamics of men and women in a relationship. I only took it on a surface level. It talks about following your passion. But I think this is better than Tamasha that way, because matlab, like when Pariniti still has the right to choose if she wants to sing with Chamkila or not. Like for example, when he goes back to her, कि हमारी टिकटें बहुत बिक रही हैं, एंड इवन दो परिणीति's whole family is against her singing with Chamkila, even after all of that happened, they still show कि she takes a stand and says, but I will sing because I want to sing. So I think women have better than Tamasha. Sorry.
So we're back on. We had to change recording software. So if there's a difference in audio, that's why it was, because it was getting a real mess. I wanted to talk specifically about two sequences in the movie. One is the interview that the journalist does with Chamkila's character, right? And I was wondering, while we were talking about, power dynamics and sexuality, am I that journalist? Is the movie specifically addressing me with the criticism of looking at Chamkila with a very urban, non-Punjabi, lens, liberal lens, and try to judge him as an artist? And I think, was the movie pushing back against my inclinations? And I was wondering, Amrita, is that something that you felt when you were watching the movie?
I think yes, but I don't think it was literally like towards journalists in particular. I think it was um, it was just a note that they have, like it's little things that Chamkila's character says throughout the film, like when he first meets Pariniti's character and they're just talking about like how Amarjot might work with him. And one of the first things that he says is sort of like an aside. He says to, I think, to his friend, where he says, she sounds too urban and we need to break that from her voice. We need to make her more desi. So there's this parallel thought process running throughout this film. Or even when, the policeman is listening to his story, and when obviously he says that I don't listen to this type of music because I'm above it, but also there is this class thing where you have I'm sorry if you can hear that in the background, but it's election season in India.
No, we can't.
And okay, then that's good. But there's also this class thing that runs on where they talk about like like थाने इंस्पेक्टर साहब थोड़ी ना सुनेंगे, वो तो हम हवलदार सुनते हैं, like there's this constant thing that's going on about like how this music is very desi, it's meant for the lower classes, it's very much country, to use a term, and there's this feeling that like you won't understand it, or not just respect it, but also you won't understand it. And there's a world in here that you don't particularly understand if you're not from that background. So I think like, again, like this is one of the reasons why I think that this is such a clever movie, because Imtiaz is also talking to the crowd that might listen to Chamkila in 2024 and feel like, oh, like this is problematic. Like, why is he singing about these things? This is a world that we don't have. Like us, like like we are much older than Pulkit, of course, but but even then, like there's not a world that any of us is particularly conversant with. Even if we were Punjabi, like I don't imagine that we would have like understood this particular type of woman or man or gender relations. So it's that's one of the reasons why, again, like I like this movie, because it's just showing me a culture that I don't particularly understand or know things about.
I'm asking this because I feel lately Bollywood has been having this discussion about woke culture, be it, Rocky's speech in Rocky and Rani Ki Prem Kahani, be it Noora Fatehi's interview, or, Akshay's interview lately. It's all about, kind of like both siding it and like, oh, woke culture. And I think it's also a very like misrepresentation of what woke or what liberalism is. I mean, but I was just wondering if this movie is also saying, you cannot understand it because you're just an urban elite, and you shouldn't even judge us for the things we're saying or doing. But I think it's just funny because the movie is presenting a very sanitized version of what it's doing and saying, right? So
I feel
yeah.
like it's the exact opposite actually, because it's a very it's a very like dushman zamana, like full of hypocrites who
Hmm.
want to stifle artistic freedom,
Hmm.
and who they're coming from the conservative side actually, because they keep talking about like how things are vulgar, like how dare you talk about this, and like so it's a very I think it's like completely the opposite is what I feel.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think the film addresses that incest and all these men's sexual aggression in women that is found in the lyrics of Chamkila, that already exists. Nobody is denying that at all. Nobody is saying that we should save the society from all of these evils that we are trying to protect people from knowing in Chamkila songs, but we are not going to address that it already exists. So the hypocrisy of that existence is already portrayed in the movie, I think, and that when the lady journalist asks him about why do you ask the sing about these things, and why are you singing about very raunchy lyrics in your songs, and why they're problematic. I think the answer that Chamkila gives is that for some people we can't even afford the luxury of questioning what's right and wrong. He's grown up in that, and that's the truth that he sees, and he sings about it.
Hmm. Let's get into the music a little bit. What did you? I mean, we spoke a little bit about Naram Kalja. I think people are not talking enough about that song, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think it's literally the best part of this whole movie.
Also the fact that it's a comeback of Alka Yagnik into the mainstream after Tamasha again. Tamasha was also Agar Tum Saath Hai, because it was a more romantic song and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's still Alka Yagnik's voice in a mainstream Hindi film. I think people are not talking. People are talking about the other, the comeback of Rahman with Imtiaz after 9 years. And,
People are talking even more about Mohit Chauhan's
Mohit
cameo.
Chauhan, I was just coming to that because he sang two songs, also did a cameo.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I hope, did you all notice the cameo first?
Yeah, I
Pehle
did.
view.
He's at the start, right? In the first song when they talk. Yeah, I think the thing is I wouldn't have recognized him. Like, I don't know what he exactly looks like. So I am DB'd it. So I did figure it out then. But yeah, let's talk Pulkit. What was kind of your favorite song? What kind of stuck out? I think you spoke about it a little bit. But yeah, what was kind of your favorite moments? Because they're also like all so visually interesting. Choreography is so interesting. Like Naram Kalja, I just feel it's like I've never seen Punjab shot this way, or I really felt like this is like a world of women that I've never been privy to, and I thought it was like just an amazingly unique perspective of how to shoot a song.
So what I love about Naram Kalja is all of the women are not a part of the narrative, like not at least the main characters, but they're given a song. And the comparison I can find easily is with Heer To Badi Sad Hai, because usme, even though they're showing Heer, but the men who are singing about Heer are not connected to Heer at all. There are some randomly like 3-4 men in Punjab who are singing about Heer being sad. So, I really liked, and they are also talking to the camera, if you remember, Heer To Badi Sad Hai. Another reason why I think of it as a comparison, because they're also Punjabi and this is Punjabi. But I think my favorite song otherwise is Ishq Mitai, simply because it's peppy. And maybe in the long run it would be Vida Karo, but visually I really love Baja. And
Yeah.
Baja visually, what it does is I think when I saw Baja, I thought this is why I think Imtiaz Ali is back, because it gave me a feeling of Chali Kahani also. Ki, Chali Kahani mein they show glimpses of Ranbir's life from every part, and same for Jo Bhi Main Kehna Chahun in Rockstar. They show Ranbir singing in different parts of the country at different times of his career. Like, it's like ye a puri film. This is like a cold open. And that's what I love it. Ki visually, also people are singing about Chamkila. It's like an introduction to his, like I think Shah said in an interview. It's like a preface of a book.
Hmm.
This is what you're getting into. So, Ganda Sa Banda Hai, total. Like, while other singers are dissing Chamkila, people are still dancing on it.
Hmm.
And then people are also calling it the hypocrisy in the song कि सब सुनते उसके गाने कोई माने या ना माने. So whatever the film stands for, it's everything is there in that song. That's why I love Baja a lot. The I think Dur Mohabbat Sinela is something which is, I think, takes you into a zone like or Ho from Rockstar, which is not very pleasing for me at least. It's not something you would love instantly or even listen to it on loop, but there's some quality, redeeming quality in it, which is a layer beyond which we will maybe understand later, like most Rahman songs. But yeah, I think Baja and Ishq Mita stand out for me. Again, I love what Naram Kalja stands for. Matlab, so my answer is, I know it's mixed, but Ishq Mitai all in all, audio wise and Baja video wise.
What about you, Sujoy?
क्या आंसर I've listened to Vidakaro a lot. I think from an audio perspective, Vidakaro just stands out for me so much. What I really like about Naram Kalja is that Alka Yagnik's voice, and we've seen like Alka Yagnik is a 90s sound for me, right?
Yeah.
And with Agar Tum Saath Ho and with Naram Kalja, her vocal register has changed because of obviously she's of age now, and you can hear the age in her voice, and that's been used so beautifully in Naram Kalja. Oh, perfect. Like I've heard that song so many times. I absolutely love Naram Kalja.
Amrita?
I think Vidakaro, I think that's basically the song that is going to stay with me for a long time. But also like Naram Kalja, yeah, it's very vintage Imtiaz for me. Like, it's just sort of like everyone coming together. You get like, it's dynamic, it's unexpected. I like it. I like it a lot.
I also like, I mean, we haven't spoken too much about Tu Kya Jaane, which is also, the visuals are basically their love story, right? And it was funny because last episode, we were talking about Raju Ban Gaya Gentleman, right? And we were like, like it's a generation before us and the romance of that era. And it's like the height of romance is just sitting next to the person and touching the shoulder. And just touching the shoulder can mean so much because it's literally the only physical contact you have with that person. But yeah, I thought that was also was very sweet, and how Pariniti was then acting when she was out of view of Chamkila and all of those. I thought that was kind of a very sweet element in a love story that was kind of underwritten for me. So I think that song,
the shoulder touch intimacy thing, I think what I love about Tu Kya Jaane the most is that only.
Yeah. And in a love story that's very underwritten, I feel that song is doing a lot of heavy lifting. That's just establishing a lot where the movie doesn't tell us that much.
Songs really save Imtiaz, always.
Also, I want to just give like a shout out to Pariniti for the way that I mean, we touched upon it like very slightly before, but the way that she's portrayed Amarjot, like it's not a caricature and it's not a mimicry, but it is pitch perfect. Because if you see the archival footage of Amarjot, there's this one particular thing, like the first time that Chamkila makes her blush and giggle.
Yeah.
I don't know where I saw this video, but there's like this video of the actual Amarjeet laughing, and she giggles in exactly that way. The way that she ducks her head and then she giggles. It was fantastic. Like it was absolutely fantastic. And
Even
also,
the clapping of hands, the way she claps her hands also, I think it's very similar. Like, especially because at
yeah.
the end, you see those archival footages at the end. And I think there was a bit of like mimicry there, right, Pulkit?
That song is full mimicry, but yeah, what I also love, I turned on camera to do the thing she does. She does this thing with doing, I
Yeah.
love that. Even though it's only twice or thrice in the movie, it feels like a running thing because she does it so
Yeah.
cutely.
Yeah.
And I really
Yeah.
Like
love
just
mimicking.
even just before she gets assassinated as well, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like in the last portion.
The last thing she does is
Um,
that.
yeah. And also like she's always found with a book.
Yeah, the book. Yeah, that was also like it's not even a book. It's like like a magazine kind of thing, right? That people used to read back when those things existed. I don't know. I don't see them a lot anymore. These things.
No, that's a
Also,
songbook.
Oh, is it?
no,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
are
Or
all
at least,
mysteries, I think. No, Chitta Lahu. That's the first
Uh-huh.
book she's reading when they meet. That's the
oh,
first thing she.
I thought that was her songbook, and that's how she's like learning all these songs. No, it's novels.
No, no, she's learning through Diljit and the practice in the room they do, na? Pankha band karke
Uh-huh.
aur.
Uh-huh.
But those books are actually thrillers and all.
Yeah, my
So,
mom
Oh.
used to read these like Urdu Digest and like all of these things, but she's like completely stopped. But I remember back in the 80s, 90s, she used to always get them in Pakistan, like that same size. And yeah, so that's what it reminded me of. I don't know if they still exist these days.
also there's a little hint because Chitta Lahu means white blood. So also like maybe I'm just overthinking, but maybe foreshadowing of them getting murdered or something. The first
Mhm.
thing they talk about is blood
Mm.
because she says,
The
and he's clearly not into books. मतलब Amar Singh Chamkila. So he
Yeah.
says, हाँ ये अच्छी book है, अच्छी book होगी. I love that कि हाँ मर्द सिर्फ अपनी पसंदीदा औरत के लिए कुछ भी चीज
झूठ बोलेगा.
is that format.
And she's so shy in that scene. She's so restrained, and like she's not even putting her head up to see at this man. So
I
It's
love that
really
he makes the
funny
first move.
because
Sorry.
yeah. So like when I first like the first time that you see Amarjot and she's just sitting there by herself, she clearly has no agency whatsoever. Her brother and her father are deciding everything for her. And she like it was to a point where like like you could like I thought like is she like on the spectrum? Is that what they're trying to tell me? And then like you can see that Chamkila also had that same thought because then Diljit goes like, is she okay? Like, what is up with
How
her?
will she sing if she can't speak? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, and then her dad is like, nahi, nahi, you acha gaati hai. Like, as if he's got like a pet that can do tricks. But yeah, like Amarjot, I do agree with Asim that Amarjot's character is a little underwritten, but
Mhm.
I also feel that within the boundaries that, the script allows her, Pariniti plays her as a woman who's just sort of discovering her own power.
Mm.
And
hmm.
that's just,
The other thing is
yeah,
also these people got killed when they were like 27. Amarjot was
I know.
probably
yeah.
like we're all older than them pretty much. I don't know, like
Uh,
we've lived more. And like I remember 26, 27. What the hell did I know? Like I was an idiot, So I understand they were
I
not
was last
even.
year. I was an idiot last year because I turned
अब बहुत अच्छा
28
हूँ मैं.
last year. I'm just a little bit better than an idiot right now.
So yeah, I mean, and I think that's something about they're not fully formed yet, and
Hmm.
they already got killed. I thought the murder scene was very shocking, the way
Yeah.
because they
Also,
revisited back.
they show like close-ups of them getting shot, and like randomly there's a happy scene cut to them lying down of close-ups of. So the cut I
Yeah.
saw in December didn't have that. I think
Oh,
there are some things you do for shock value because of low attention span or something maybe. कि
yeah,
कि हाँ like
yeah.
कि एकदम से क्या also sorry to just quickly one point I was thinking to speak कि we were talking about agency. I think वही है कि उसके dialogues बहुत कम है but if you see she takes a lot of decisions, not only the decision we already speak about, but first move to sit with him to tell him that I am
Yeah.
also interested in you, and it's her idea to get them married. Technically she tells
Hmm.
the only way to save this thing is to get married. So I think she takes a lot of decisions in their relationships, but not related to the singing part, or if we should continue singing or not, even though we're getting death threats,
Yeah.
because तो उसका भी था जहाँ गोली लेके आते थे. I think Chamkila got scrutinized more because he wrote those lyrics. Well, not only he sang them, but she I think she did a lot of actions which were like which spoke to people, to the audience. Just the whole shy thing, and playing to the masses, because eventually she was known for that bubbly image which she wants to get over in every interview she speaks about it. But I think that's what works for her in this movie also. Like, she speaks very less, but it's her actions of being cute, and like I think it's very, like, she has pulled it off very well, and the resemblance with Amarjot is very uncanny. I would say that.
Yeah. Sujoy, any other points that we didn't cover that you want to talk about for Chamkila?
I really enjoyed the Chinese whisper scene. Like when Chamkila gets a phone call from somebody from Calcutta, or I think the HMV office, and it has to go through a string of people from one end to the other. It kind of is also telling about the unreliable narrations of so many people trying to talk about the legacy of Chamkila. So that scene was constructed very well. I enjoyed that. I did not quite know what then happened. Like the whole Kumud Mishra cameo came and went, I think.
I think it was a cameo only. Mohit Chauhan and him, they mentioned in the credits.
Yeah.
Amrita, any point that we missed that you want to talk about?
No. Other than the fact that everyone should watch Chamkila. It's been a while since we've seen something truly interesting come out of the Hindi film industry. And I think, well, actually, that's not fair. We've had a couple of movies that came out this year that were like genuinely quite interesting, but this feels very different. There's like a dynamism to it that I really enjoy. And I think other people would enjoy as well.
Pulkit, anything you want to add? I know you have. We could talk to you so much about this movie. I think because you've lived it now. It's kind of a lived experience. It was like when 2 days ago there was a video of Sadhguru eating French fries, and I was like, I've lived this. Being Belgian, I know what fries mean. So I feel this Chamkila is for you what Sadhguru with fries is for me.
But yeah, I mean, it's special because I've been a Imtiaz fanboy, to be very honest. So I got to work on, I met him, I told him this story of the mic thing and all, and he was I took his autograph and all. But yeah, so I think it's been special for me. And also I think why people should also watch it, it's very rarely they make musical biographies in India. Like on a musical, Rockstar was not a real person story. I think someone pointed that the only real person story before this was Baiju Bawra in 50s.
Yeah.
And
they're trying to make that Kishore Kumar biography for like 70 years now. They could
Anurag Basu wanted to make it with Ranbir, from what I remember.
Yeah.
But
the Ganguly family was not agreeing.
Yeah. And the people involved are too many. But I think what I loved about Last Note is what I love about it, even though his life ends with a death, which is a very sad thing. And they also ended with a sad song, but they follow it with a happy note. So the movie Imtiaz wants to end it on a happy note. The legacy, people dancing in theater when the song played after his death.
Yeah, the whole Patola thing, right?
Very cute moment for me. And also the comparison video, and the fact that मुझे ये बहुत वो चीज थोड़ी सी वो लगी कि if this would have released in theaters, imagine people would have gotten up again in that scene. It would have been meta on so many levels. I would have tripped on it. I'm like, oh fuck, this is happening again. He died. A movie had his songs. People danced in theater. Now we are watching. I think.
I would like to barely last mention, we hardly mentioned Amitabh Bachchan and the influence of Amitabh Bachchan in his hairstyle, the angry young man Mukaddar Se Ka Sikandar, and he always wanted to be on the big screen just like Amitabh Bachchan, and then finally gets to be posthumously in Patola in the final reel when we get to see like the big
Yeah.
screen version of them. That was so cute. Oh, like
That I had to explain to my wife because she was watching it with me a little bit. And she was like, why does he have that stupid haircut? He looks so good with the pagdi. And I was like, yeah, it's the 80s. Everybody had this terrible Amitabh haircut. And like, it only looked good on Amitabh. And everybody had it. Like,
It's the Tere Naam syndrome. But there's a clear scene na कि बार्बर की दुकान के बाहर अमिताभ बच्चन की
Yeah.
फोटो है. He's
Yes,
coming out
yes.
doing.
the barber is called Vijay Parlor or something.
Oh, damn. See,
Oh,
see.
nice.
There are many references. The Dawn music plays when he's walking to the IT
Yeah.
officer.
Yeah.
Yeah, Amitabh
Nice.
Bachchan's interview.
And even somebody said, I don't know if it was an interview or like, was it in the movie itself again? It's like, oh, when I met him, he was so good looking. I thought I was meeting Amitabh Bachchan. It might have been something. Was that in the movie? Or
Someone
was
says कि the first time I met him, the IT
Yeah.
officer says, Siviyan.
Yes.
He
Yeah.
says, एकदम अमिताभ बच्चन लग रहा था.
Yeah,
Cut
yeah,
to
yeah.
that
Yeah.
he's walking.
Yeah.
I think a lot of also उसका सपना मर जाता है सिंगर बनने का when he realizes कि I have sold more seats than who I looked up to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I loved that. And he looks in the mirror, classic Imtiaz shot, like looking into the mirror and thinking, where have I come?
Yeah. Amitabh being the measure of your success still, right? Like at that era.
Yeah.
Cool. I think we had a good chat, even with our audio issues about Chamkila. Pulkit man, we're going to continue a little bit. We want to thank you. And where can people find you online? Because I have to say this because you're back,
Wow,
and I have to
I
say
lost
this. I was telling my wife you were
Sorry,
going to
I
be
lost
on.
you.
Did you hear? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
I'm turning off my video just to, I think even the, sorry, abhi aap bolo.
Yeah, I was saying, I was telling my wife you were going to be on, and she said, Pulkit is the person that makes you laugh the most on Instagram. You know, she knows.
Oh, acha, she's talking about you.
No, you. She's talking about you. You make me laugh the most. I think you are one of the funniest creators that is around. So where can people find you online?
Mostly I'm on Instagram like almost every day. Or you will find me on Instagram at the Pulkit Kocher. I'm thinking to do long-term content on YouTube. So that is also Pulkit Kocher official, like the username. But yeah, mostly two places. And if you like to hear my unhinged thoughts, I'm also on Twitter, Kocher Pulkit.
Amazing. Amazing. Thanks so much, Pulkit. And we'll have you back on soon, hopefully.
For sure. Let's discuss some old Khan movie again.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome.
सबसे खतरनाक दुश्मन वो होता है जिसके अंदर मौत का डर ही ना हो. एक ऐसा दुश्मन जिसका ना नाम हो, ना पहचान और ना चेहरा, जिसका सिर्फ एक लक्ष्य हो, बदला. कौन है तू? प्रलय.
Okay, so let's move on to the second movie we watched, Bade Miyan Chote Miyan. Amrita, we could not convince you to watch this movie for any money, right? Available?
I mean, I love you guys and I love our audience and I love doing this every week, but there are some bridges, Asim, that I will not cross.
There are limits.
Yes.
But it's crazy because this movie was such a washout so quickly. I've rarely see it happen. People, like a lot of these box office analysts and stuff like that, like they just hold hope ke like Monday ko dekhenge, Tuesday ko dekhenge and all that kind of stuff. This one, no, like washout straight away. It's not gonna happen.
And it's an Eid movie.
It's an Eid movie. It's an Akshay movie. And Amrita, you were talking about this a while. Like, you know, you were saying that, if this is done, Akshay might join politics, even you were saying. Do you still think that's going to happen?
I mean, the last time Akshay was in public, they were throwing slippers at him. Like it was part of like a larger protest. But I don't know, man. Like I don't know what's up with him. Like he's just tied himself a little too close, I think, to the BJP right now. So and they are not particularly fond of him, it seems.
Yeah.
So like it would have been different, like if it had been like Kangana, where like Kangana is like batshit insane, but also like the BJP voting public really loves her. So that's like, like there's a synergy happening over there. But like the BJP voting public in India is basically calling Akshay, some sort of traitor because he's a Canadian citizen or whatever. Or he's not even a Canadian citizen anymore. Like the poor guy
Yeah.
gave up his citizenship. He's he's done everything that he could to win them over, and they won't even go watch his movie. So, yeah, I guess
It's a
I
really
don't really
odd, it's
see.
a really odd situation. I feel like a movie flopping this badly, two movies flopping really badly, like both Maidan and Bade Miyan Chote Miyan going just doing terrible business. And on the other hand, we have like movies like Pushpa coming, which are going to be big hits. It's already they're talking about they're selling up and they're getting a very high price and things like that. Um, what was your experience in the theater, Sujoy? Was it like mine was literally like when I booked, I put the screenshot up. I was like the only person that was booking a ticket. When I went there, I was full on. My idea was, you know what? If I'm alone, I'll just live tweet the movie and it'll be fun. But then there were like three people in the back row, and I was like, yeah, this is not going to be fun. I don't want to screw up their experience. So I ended up not doing it. But what about in your area? Was it like busy? Were there a lot of people?
Yeah, I went the opening weekend on Saturday matinee show, I think, the 2 p.m. show, and it was like 60% occupancy. But I don't know if it's the cinema culture here, like the cinema viewing experience culture here. But people have their phones out anyway. It doesn't matter. They refresh Facebook, they update their Instagram, they're taking calls and speaking like it's their living room, but like nobody was really enjoying this movie. I think like there was right because there are several hero entry scenes. There's slow motion walks. There's the action scenes. Uh, some of them are quite good. I mean, they are well executed, I would say. But the story in itself and the way it's being executed, it's just it didn't feel like a cohesive movie that has come together, considering it's an Ali Abbas Zafar movie, which is worrying at this point.
It's by the way, Amrita, this movie had a lot of weirdly citizenship jokes in it. Like there was a lot of comments about UK citizenship and this and that. I was like, why is this? Why is this in this?
Huh.
Yeah, it's this is like I literally went because I wanted to see the new Ali Abbas Zafar movie. That was literally the reason, and I think I still hold some sort of nostalgia for either comedy Akshay, or action Akshay. Those are the two Akshay.
Yeah.
I can't stand social justice Akshay that much, or terrorism Akshay, or like Hindu national Akshay. But these other two, I think I hold a lot of nostalgia in them. But watching the movie, I really figured out why this movie didn't work. Is that Ali Abbas Zafar is not an Akshay fanboy like he is, like Ayan Mukherjee is with Ranbir, or like Ali Abbas himself is with Salman. There's always these connections that there are. Like even like Siddharth Anand is with Hrithik Roshan, right? Or Atlee was with SRK. There's like it's love and understanding what these actors are good at, and this is what I need to project. Ali Abbas Zafar seems to have no idea what Akshay fandom is about. And he never puts that into effect. I was reading, I was following a Twitter account friend, Hud Dabang, who's a very knowledgeable Salman Khan kind of fan, and he was saying that Ali Abbas Zafar was actually writing a movie with Salman and Varun, and then
Huh.
the Bhagnanis came and they retooled this to Bade Miyan Chote Miyan. And I was like, man, that makes so much sense watching this movie.
Yeah.
Because Tiger is playing the smart mouth character that Varun should be playing, which actually is an Akshay Kumar role. Akshay Kumar is the smart aleck Kamina kind of character. He's not the
Yeah.
stoic kind of guy. That would be Salman that could play that role, right? And it's just a complete miscasting. It's a complete direction of which character should be playing which role, and it takes away both of their skill set. And I was like, wow, this is why this movie hasn't worked. No other reason, because enough badly written, badly promoted movies can work. Like we had Gadar 2 was the massive hit last year, tons of movies are bad, this and that, but they work. This just had no legs. This didn't work, and I think that's one of the reasons that I
mean,
felt.
hearing you talk about Salman and Varun in the role of the Bade Miyan and Chote Miyan, that in itself is so much more exciting than this entire movie. But I think enough bad movies do work, but there is a connection that the audience finds with a certain movie, right? That's the glue that holds. That's why Bollywood movies of the 80s and the 90s are held in so much nostalgic regard, right? And to me, that sort of chemistry, that bromance, that banter is missing. Like Tiger is trying his best to be, banter lad, and like all his jokes, they're written so badly and executed by him so badly. Akshay, as the straight-faced, no silliness kind of guy, also like he gets moments of comedy where you can see that he's done comedy. You can tell that he can pull it off, but he is not allowed to somehow.
But can I also about the comedy? It's a very like Hollywood type of comedy, like like you see in Lethal Weapon or stuff like that. And I just don't
Bad
think,
Boys.
Bad Boys. I just don't think that's the kind of comedy Akshay. That's not Akshay's comedy. It felt very much, a lot of the jokes and the references felt like some old person talking about these things, right? And it comes really into effect when the Alia F character is coming in, right? Because she's like, oh my God, and like all of these, your Pro Max. I don't even know what kind of references. And to me, they felt like out of touch old references completely.
Yeah. It was like verbal diarrhea of all the Gen Z references that you can get.
Yeah.
Rolled into an IT, a stereotypical IT humor that somebody who has no connection with computers would think that these would be the references that somebody who belongs to that industry would speak about. It's just, yeah.
It's literally Richie Sunak wearing Adidas Sambas, This is like, it's literally what this movie was. It's really, and a lot of it is also like, I felt that Ali Abbas Zafar just put the things that he likes about Hollywood movies in this movie. There's like, the plot is they're making Wolverines. That's what they're doing. They're making Wolverines, right? There's the Iron Dome is there from Black Panther. There's a stunt sequences are completely like inspired from Marvel. There's a bit of face off in there. There's a literal scene from Dark Knight where the face is on the table like that, and that face is gonna get burnt later on. There's so many elements. Universal Soldier. There's so much of Universal Soldier in there, and it just seems like he put everything that he liked in this movie. It never comes together. Like this movie Amrita, the end of the movie is a voiceover narration. They set up a sequel, and in the post credit they have two songs, not one, two songs that explain a romantic subplot that is never explored in the movie. Like if you're doing that much heavy lifting in the end of it, then that the movie never came together, right? There was something already wrong in the production or in the writing of it.
What I did like though is that it's a callback to Bade Miyan Chote Miyan of the Amitabh Bachchan and Govinda movie. So they do explain the connection why they are called Bade Miyan Chote Miyan. And then they also bring the double role in the end because the original movie had a double role. So that was like, finally, you did something to this movie.
And I think that's what happened. He retrofitted the idea of Bade Miyan Chote Miyan into the movie because something was already there. And maybe if he was making that Salman and Varun movie, it was not a Bade Miyan Chote Miyan movie. But
No.
when they came in, there's like, oh, let's retrofit it. And then it started like, okay, we'll add these reference here and there. And it feels odd. It doesn't feel like it's an organic story. Yeah, it's a shame because you are. I think one of the reasons I went is for the action set pieces, and the action set pieces I thought were really well done. Like the scale of them are so big, like they're so much better than even Suryavanshi, Akshay's the thing he does with Rohit Shetty. But there's a lack of clarity in the action. Like the set pieces are so big, but the camera work, the editing is so unclear about what's happening. It almost doesn't feel like a Ali Abbas Zafar movie. It feels like somebody took it out of his hands and re-edited and fit it into something else that never really was meant to be. There's also a sequence where they clearly reference the video game Assassin's Creed. Did you see that moment?
Like, yeah, why? Like, they had to like put a tiger in that so that he can parkour.
Yeah, but they also put Akshay in it, and clearly Akshay has never seen any Assassin's Creed video games, and he looks like Assassin Appa. The way he's wearing like the thing, it's hilarious. Yeah, it's
And like Sonakshi's role in this movie is just to like sleep. She's literally sleeping all of second half. Like goals.
I like Sonakshi. I've said this many times. I get happy when she came on screen, so I was really happy. But she has nothing to do except have amazing hair, you know. And even in the movie, they say, so she's supposed to be Akshay's ex-girlfriend. You know, a trope we see: lovers get back together after so many years. We've seen it in Top Gun and so many other things. But she's apparently married to somebody. They never say who she's married to.
Yeah.
Literally never. And I was a moment, is she married to Prithviraj? Like, is that who she's married to? But no, there's no connection. So the whole story is about who is this villain that's kind of taken the big secret weapon that they've stolen, right? And the reveal is then it's obviously the third guy that you guys screwed over, right? Like, apparently there was a third guy and it's him. So again, it's a shame. It's a shame. Yeah. I don't know.
So who's is Manushi Chillar Akshay's girlfriend in this? Like, what is she?
Apparently in the
just-
post-credit song she is, but there's no basis
Yeah.
for this in the entire movie whatsoever.
She's just a raw agent.
Yeah, she's literally just a raw agent. At the start, Tiger says, "Oh, stop drooling on him on Akshay," when she sees Akshay, because apparently Akshay looks so hot. He really doesn't. But then any romance happens in the entire movie except at the end where there's a song. Even between Tiger and Alia there's like no romance during the entire movie. None of the songs they're together. Like even there's a song where they're dancing and they're trying to do Natu Natu and stuff like that. Sonakshi almost doesn't appear in it, and apparently they're big in love with Akshay. It's
Why are they doing Natu Natu?
it's like their version, right? It's not Natu Natu, but like clearly they're trying to emulate that energy of dude bros hanging together and having like a dance together, right? So yeah, it's not Natu Natu, but it's like inspired from it.
It's Jatu Jatu.
Yeah. I don't know. Sujoy, anything else you had about this movie that you want to, like the fake mustache?
I had no notes.
The fake mustache is so bad. Like you can see
Like
the
Akshay-
netting.
Akshay-
The netting you can see.
The Akshay can grow a mustache. Why does he need to put that like the fake mustache is so terrible. In one of the flashback scenes where he's supposed to be young and he's got this really jet black mustache and he's smiling because it's glued down so tightly on his skin. His face doesn't move. Like this part doesn't move. It's so jarring.
Yeah.
Oh man.
There's also like cloning involved in this movie. but the clones they work with CGI, and the CGI is so bad. Like you have clone Akshay and clone Tiger, but they've clearly told them hilne ka nahi hai. Like clone ho, hilna nahi hai, bolna nahi hai. Because it's like literally like their heads are like they're using their face swap technology. And yeah, even the CGI, the effects. Like I remember they're like on a horse running in those Assassin's Creed costumes, and it looks so bad. I was like, where did they even shoot this? Like none of it makes any sense. And even like you would think if you have a Akshay movie or a Tiger movie, that Akshay would be good in action, right? Like there's a moment where they fight each other's clone. Like that's the thing, because the clone knows my moves, so let's have Akshay fight Tiger because he doesn't know his moves. And that should be like an epic showdown, like
Yeah.
Akshay's 90 karate with Tiger's now martial arts, like the evolution of those two fighting styles. For me, as somebody who loves martial arts and fighting in movies, I could construct that scene so well, and they just do a shit job. You see two versions of the fight, and both are bad. Like, how do you screw that up? I don't understand.
And there is no distinction between the two either. It's just a narrative, plot device that he knows my style, we should swap. There's no like stakes involved either. It's just like, sure, dude, Carlo jo karna hai,
And so they're all wearing masks, right, Amrita? And like the first part is like, who are these two other assassins that are, unbreakable? And they're like, they have like special powers. They get stabbed in the neck and then their eyes go red and then they just pull out the knife and they're fine. They're immortal, right? And they're like beating up everybody, unstoppable and stuff like that. And then the interval, it's like, they take off the mask and it's Tiger and Akshay's clone. But throughout the entire movie, there are clearly some other white people. Like their physicality doesn't match, their hair doesn't match, their skin tone doesn't match. And like only when they take them off and then their heads don't move. It's like, why don't you just have them stand over there? Why did you use CGI technology to do that when you could just change their costume and have them stand there? Man, it was so frustrating.
This sounds like a very quality product, I must say.
It's
so matlab 350 crore, 350 crores is the budget of this movie. Where did they spend it all?
Apparently 162 crores or something was like Akshay's salary, which it sounds like a money laundering scheme to me, because there's just no way in hell that the Hagnanis have that kind of money, or that they thought that Akshay was worth 160 crores in this day and age. Like, that's just not realistic.
Are actors really asking 160 crores? How much is that in dollars? Like $30 million?
I mean, I don't know. But like, I think it's more like 20 maybe? I don't know. But it's just like... I don't know, like the Khans at least are asking for a percentage of like whatever it is that they're making, like Shah Rukh and Salman apparently asked for like 60%, Amir asked for 80%. But like that is of the profits, like so in the movie doesn't work, they don't get paid. Like that's as simple as that. So when you hear that, like Shah Rukh made like whatever, like 500 crores or something for Jawan, I mean, that's him making that money off the profit. That's not money that he's charging the producers. When you hear that Pathan was, cost like 250 crores to make, that is not money that was paid upfront to Shah Rukh. So that is like money that was spent on the product. And even with 250 crores, I mean, like we definitely had issues with the production. So I don't know how the economics of an Akshay Kumar action movie works anymore, especially at this scale. If you're paying him as much as you would pay the VFX people, I mean, that's just
it
doesn't make any sense to me.
When I was watching his interview with Ranveer, the Ranveer show, I don't know his guy's name exactly. It was literally the first interview I've ever seen with this Ranveer person. I don't know his work, but Akshay was basically saying, I'm a producer's actor. I whatever I do is in service of the producer, not of the story, not of the director, not of anything else. So maybe that's why also he has a longer association with the Bhagnanis or something like that, and maybe he will even return some fees because this movie didn't work at all. But it was an interesting interview, though, I have to say. And also, what's really nice, I thought, was Akshay and Tiger have seemingly really bonded. Like they really respect and like each other. I think Tiger, obviously, he has this thing where he's very like he respects his elders, and like he had the same thing with Ritik, right? But I think with Ritik there was a bit of like competition going on where Akshay is so secure and he just likes somebody. He's like, koi mil gaya jisko khelna pasand hai. He just likes somebody that plays volleyball and football with him. And I was like, yeah, that seems to be the kind of guy Akshay is, just like somebody come over and play basketball with me. So that was kind of sweet. Yeah.
I'm just looking at the Vashu Bhagnani's filmography. The last movie that he produced was Ganpat with Tiger Shroff. That was on a budget of 190 crores, and that didn't even cross 15 crores in the box office.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah.
Tiger did say that he's like in a precarious situation at the moment because he's had 2 back-to-back flops, and this is the third one. So he did say he's quite worried about that. Where Akshay was like, I don't really give a shit. I'll just move on and make more movies. And he's got 4 movies lined up, so he's definitely not going into politics anytime soon. But yeah. Have you guys seen any of these? Because he's back, like this Ranveer guy. He also has that Noora Fatehi clip that's going viral at the moment where she's shit talking about feminism. I don't know if you saw that, Amrita. You were traveling, so you might have missed all of that.
No,
I saw the clip. Yeah.
Yeah. He's quite popular, right? He's a popular content creator. Anyway, I don't think we want to continue talking about Bade Miyan Chote Miyan. You can completely skip it. It's not even when it drops at home. I just don't think it's going to be a good time. There's nothing redeemable in the movie. I really hope that Ali Abbas Zafar can kind of find projects that he's passionate about again, because things are not going well. These last 3 movies he's done. So he's done Bloody Daddy, which also that was for Jio, I think. Then he did Jogi, which was for Netflix, and now Bade Miyan Chote Miyan. So I don't know if he needs to get back together with Salman or something like that, or what's missing here. But I just think I really like him as a filmmaker, but he's definitely been not as passionate about these last few movies. And although I do hear good things about Jogi, which I have not seen yet, so I might, because I'm on a Diljit ride lately. Maybe I might go and watch that one.
I might go and watch Jodi.
Jodi? Yeah. Jogi Jodi. Okay. Cool. Amrita, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at AmritaIQ.
Sujoy?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at 9e3k. And you can also follow Khandaan Podcast on all our socials at Khandaan Podcast.
Yeah, and we're also doing something cool with our friend Manish Mathur soon. So watch out socials. I don't know when we record and when we drop, so I don't want to say too much, but watch out all of our socials and we'll retweet when that cool project comes together. And we'll be back with a new episode very soon. Drop us an email at youpodcasting@gmail.com or become a Patreon from $1. Thank you for listening.